So whether you get excited about trends or not, they are definitely going to be impacting our vintage businesses. So let's jump right into what's going to be popular for 2026. As a vintage dealer, it's important to keep up with the latest interior design trends. While some collectibles and items will always have a buyer, a lot of what we sell is actually driven by trends. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Andi. I'm a vintage home decor reseller, and I have been compiling interior design trends reports for nearly a decade. Lucky for us as dealers, shopping vintage is very popular right now. So popular that antique malls and vintage stores have been reporting record traffic in their stores and also record sales this past year. And there's never been so many different ages finding their way to the antique malls. Part of the reason for this is the shift towards shopping secondhand because people are more environmentally conscious. But the other reason is because the interior design trends are favoring vintage styles. And so that's why they're finding their way to antique malls and vintage stores, because that's where the period specific and true vintage items are. So whether you get excited about trends or not, they are definitely going to be impacting our vintage businesses. So let's jump right into what's going to be popular for 2026. If I had to choose one word to describe 2026 interior design trends, it would be heritage. People are searching for items that could have been in someone's family for generations. So you're gonna see heritage and that word play a role in all the trends we're gonna talk about right now. So the first style I wanna talk about is called grandpa chic. Now this is similar to that grandma interior design trend we've been seeing for the past few years. So what's different about grandpa chic is it's definitely more masculine, it's also more moody. You'll see plaids, you'll see distressed leather, you'll see outdoor motifs, distressed furniture, darker wood stains, really any item that you would find in a study or a hunting lodge or a fishing cabin. Those are the types of pieces that people are going to be gravitating to. Anyone who loved and embraced the Ralph Lauren Christmas trend definitely is going to love this like grandpa chic style because it's traditional, it has more layers, and it just feels really cozy and lived in. So I've pulled together some grandpa chic inspired items from my inventory and then my own personal collection too. So you're seeing the outdoor artwork, the fish, the bear, and even these adorable ceramic mushrooms also bringing the outdoors inside. I have old books and other items that look like they would belong in an old study. I have a rustic lidded pot and then also this dark stained lidded pot. So we're definitely seeing different wood tones and dark wood being really, really popular right now. So all these items together look really themed. So when you're incorporating this type of trend in your home or you're shopping for this trend, you don't necessarily have to go full on, but it's nice to kind of pull different items from a particular style and incorporate them in your booth, your online shop, or your home. So the next design style I want to talk about is Chateau / English cottage. So basically any item with history you would find in the French countryside or in an English cottage. These are the types of pieces that people are looking for. So this design style is really the next iteration of cottagecore. So anyone who loves the cottagecore style is definitely finding their way into Chateaucore / English cottage. It's just adding those really old world elements to your decor that makes this a little bit different than traditional cottagecore. Antique needlepoints and tapestries, oil paintings, gold gilt frames, busts, and figurals. These are the types of pieces that you would typically only find in Europe, and those are the types of pieces that make Chateaucore and English cottage the style it is. Everything has history, everything tends to have patina. It's just a very lived-in old world feeling. Here are some items that fit that Chateaucore style of decorating. So you have the old world art that's framed in gold frames with a lot of ornate details and flourishes. You have gold represented throughout, whether it's painted gold like these Florentine pieces or it's actual brass like this statue and then the soap dish and this Art Nouveau frame. A lot of ornate scallops, curves. Everything is very sculptural and interesting. And I wanted to pull in the Staffordshire dogs too, because this is a nod to the English kind of side of this trend. So it's Chateaucore and English cottage, and these are definitely quintessentially English. So this next design style is called primitive minimalism. So admittedly, this design style has been around for a little while. It started with Olive Atelier, an LA-based retailer. They were importing these old world goods from Europe, like vintage dough bowls, primitive benches, antique ceramic vessels. And those types of pieces really resonated with folks that love the minimalist decor style. Just because you love a minimalist home doesn't mean you want your home to be boring. You want items that have history and you want items that feel textural and interesting. So because old world elements are still popular right now, we're going to continue to see primitives being a main staple in decor. So I really only have one good example of primitive decor in my home, and it's this really interesting lidded box that I got at a garage sale when I was a teenager. And what makes this piece primitive is you can see the tool marks in the wood. It's not finished at all. It's very rustic. If you look at the bottom of it, again, you can see all of the gouges where the carving tool would have shaped this bowl or the bottom piece. The top part is actually a lot more finished. It's been sanded down and it has like a curved edge. So it's kind of an interesting piece because it has more of a finished top and then a rustic bottom. But what I love about it is it just has all of this character and you can just feel the person working on the piece when you're looking at it. So when you're looking for primitive pieces out in your sourcing, what makes it primitive are all of the visible tool marks and then also the fact that it's fairly unfinished. So now I want to shift gears and talk about some of the nuances of the 2026 interior design trends. So first up is the shift in warm tone metals to cool tone metals. As someone who sells a lot of brass and who loves brass decor personally, I get asked all the time, when is brass going to go out of style? Now designers have been predicting the demise of brass forever. I feel like every year they're like, this is the year brass is going to go out of style. But I actually was recently at the Etsy headquarters and I was at an event where they were talking about search term trends. And one of the strongest search terms right now is brass. Brass decor, brass jewelry, brass items are still very, very popular in terms of search volume on the site. So that just shows you that brass is here to stay. So when you look at the design trends of the past like 10 to 15 years, what was popular was mid-century decor, which definitely had a lot of brass. And then we're moving into this like old world traditional style, which also has a lot of brass. So that's why we're seeing brass continue to be popular, because as everyone is shifting in their design styles, brass still seems to be a core element. So for 2026, I definitely don't recommend writing off brass. It has true staying power still. But I would recommend maybe picking up other types of metal, like your chrome, your pewter, and your silver. Younger generations in particular are very into silver tone pieces. I also want to note that silver jewelry is also on the upswing, and oftentimes fashion is a good indicator of what we're going to see in interior design. I sell mostly brass pieces, so I couldn't find any silver tone items in my inventory in my studio space to really show you. But I did get these adorable chrome vases recently at the thrift store, and they sold like hotcakes in my booth. As I was trying to find some silver examples, I came across this blog post by Stephanie Stein, and she does an amazing job breaking down the current silver trends and how they apply to what we're seeing in home decor right now. So consider this your master guide of things to look for while you're outsourcing, because she gives great examples and also shows ways that you can decorate with them. It just is extremely comprehensive and absolutely applicable to right now. So highly recommend reading this full post, and I will link it down below. So another trend that has real staying power is drenching, whether it's pattern drenching or color drenching. And if you're not familiar with that term, it basically means enveloping a space in the same color or the same pattern. So rather than just painting the walls the color, you're painting the walls, the trim, and the ceiling the same color. Or you're putting a pattern on your furniture, a pattern on your window treatments, pattern on all the accessories. So it's just an explosion and a drenching of a similar color or pattern. So you may be wondering, how does color drenching and pattern drenching apply to vintage sellers? Because we sell objects. But many of us actually sell our items in physical spaces, whether it's a store or a booth. And so it can be nice as you're looking to refresh your space, incorporating some of these interior design trends so your items really stand out and really fit that design aesthetic of the time. So I want to talk about moody art as it relates to the color drenching trend. So the only way that you can maintain that moody saturated palette is if you have art on the walls that matches that moody saturated palette. So I've been selling a lot of moody still lifes, florals. They just really all tie in that style together. So I imagine in 2026, we're going to continue to sell a lot of moody art because that color drenching design style is very popular and moody interiors are really popular. So the next thing I want to talk about is how finer luxe details are coming back. So this is definitely driven a lot by the heritage old world trend because those types of pieces tend to be a little bit more ornate. So you're gonna wanna look for items that have scallop details, decorative trim, gold accent, intricate carvings, any sort of marquetry or inlay. Those are the types of details that make these pieces super special and definitely align with the heritage trend. I'm also seeing an uptick in mirrored furniture, lacquer surfaces, and just volume in general, whether it's volume in your window treatments or volume in your furniture. So last trend I want to talk about is whimsy. These are the fun, quirky, weird elements that people are incorporating into their homes. For a lot of people, life has felt very heavy recently. So these decorative objects really spark joy and give you a moment of levity when you see them. So you may think it would be hard to figure out what type of whimsical items are popular right now, but it's actually quite easy because we have a whole industry that is doing all the heavy lifting for us, and that's the handmade industry. The Etsy site and their trend reports is a great place to figure out what whimsical items are trending. So anytime they put out a report, I will read it in full and I will pay attention to the different things that are popular and trending in terms of search volume. So here's an example on how you can apply the Etsy trend report to your vintage business. So several years ago, mushroom art and mushroom illustrations were super popular. And after reading that, I knew I needed to start to look for mushroom themed anything. So anytime I saw anything mushroom themed, I picked it up and it of course sold because mushrooms were popular in like the maker creator space, and it also was popular in the vintage space. So I definitely would encourage you to comb through and read those trend reports in detail and pick out themes and see how you can apply them to your vintage inventory. So this is Etsy's latest trend report. You can find these by just doing a Google search like Etsy trend report and it will come up in the search results. This is the fall and winter version of 2025, although it definitely will carry into 2026. It is filled with information. So it's not just great for online sellers or people that sell on the Etsy platform. It's wonderful for anyone who's looking for inventory and to align their inventory to design trends. So as you scroll down, there are these little sections that say inventory opportunities. And that's when you can really get into the meat of the items that will be trending. And that's where you can kind of find similar items in vintage that apply to the trends. And if you go down to this particular style, which is called Playhouse, it's very colorful and interesting. It's all about whimsy. And when you go to the inventory opportunities, it talks about colorful ceramics, wall art, whimsical jewelry, and hair accessories, plush collectibles. All of these things apply to vintage sellers. So I definitely would encourage people to go through every single one of these trend reports and look at the inventory opportunities and see how you can apply them to vintage. Okay, so those are all the trends I wanted to share with you today. There are so many things that are impacting design right now. So if there's something that you're seeing and something that's popular in your area, please share it down below. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, keeping on top of trends really can help you source smarter and sell more inventory because a lot of what we sell is because of interior design trends. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and click that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in my next thrifting and decorating video. Take care.